Hey, y'all, and welcome to Down Home Dirt, the show where we dive deep into the journey of entrepreneurship with those who took the plunge and all the ups and downs that come with it. I'm your host, Dusta, and today we are joined with Leslie Chartier with The Traveling Cafe. And I love that it rhymes. Thank you for coming out today and welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm really excited about this because I found you on Networking Women of the Triangle. So I reached out and I wanted to kind of inquire a little bit. So we're going to jump into it. How about if you start with telling us about yourself and how you got started in this?
Okay, so about myself, thank you for reaching out as well. It's been fun getting to know you. So my journey in the food thing was I stayed away from it for lots of years because I'm old enough that it was not chic when I was younger and thinking about career paths. So I ended up doing admin across a lot of different industries and kind of fell into it because one day I woke up and I realized I'm doing admin in a law firm, but I'm doing all of their events, catering. I'm doing events for my church. I'm doing events for friends. And one day I realized I have more hours doing that this week than I do my job. So maybe it's time to find a kitchen. And I did. And that was a restaurant called Cafe Chartier, which also rhymes. And then long story short, we ended up in the Raleigh. That was Columbia, South Carolina, where my husband's from. We ended up in the Raleigh area in 2017. And by 2018, I started doing personal chefing. And shortly before that, I realized I had special dietary needs. I had a lot of food sensitivities and I would just get sick. I would get sick, very uncomfortable. And slowly, through process of elimination, I realized what those foods were. But trying to eat out it's just a challenge for a lot of people now. So I really feel like what personal chefs do, by and large, really is structured around not just personal preference or people who are too busy to cook, but people who have restrictive dietary needs and still want to eat well.
Absolutely. That's me right now, still learning what I can and can't eat. Gluten is something I figured out that I can't eat just based on elimination of all the dining out and things of that nature. And I was like, oh, that's what's making me sick. Got it.
Yeah.
So that's great. So how long, you said you were here since 2017?
Yeah, we moved to the Triangle area in 2017. And I started personal chefing in 2018 and I incorporated the Traveling Cafe in 2020.
Amazing. I started my business in 2020 as well.
Wow.
It was definitely a hard time for everybody.
So it's hard to do in-home small businesses when nobody wants you in their home.
Yes, that was hard
for everybody.
We had to learn how to pivot as business owners, and I feel like some of us made it, some of us didn't, but hey, it's okay. It's something we all have to learn. So tell me about what your ready moment was that made you jump into entrepreneurship.
So in between owning the restaurant and let's see. So we owned a restaurant and then we had a 5-year span where we were still in hospitality management. My husband and I together were managing high-end retirement communities that you lived in. Your home was the apartment next to the office. And it was like a stationary cruise ship in that there was a giant central dining area. So people had 3 meals a day and activities, and we had a staff of 30. We did that for about 5 years. And I think I burned out after about 6 months. So from that time, I'm like, I need my own business again. I just absolutely do. And I just think it's a wiring. I think entrepreneurs the more I meet, the more I think half of us have ADHD, maybe 3/4 of us have ADHD and didn't know it until we were 30 or more. And it's hard to work for other people when you're wired a little differently. It's hard to fit in other people's structures. So I knew that I needed my own structure. And like other entrepreneurs, I'm very creative and I love designing systems. My biggest challenge is to design a system that's also profitable and not just fun for me.
I feel your
So I
pain.
think the aha moment came 6 months in when I realized I'm really burnt out and I'm really, really just craving total independence, total autonomy in my own position. So in something of my own design.
Absolutely. I am diagnosed ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed till I was 27. And by then, I'd already screwed my entire life up because I was trying to work for the man, and it don't work for me. I'm noticing a theme on my podcast. A lot of people are like, yeah, I think I might, or I do have it. I'm like, well, if we're talking and we're getting along, sorry, you have it. So let's talk about your support system. Like, who's your biggest supporter, and how has having that support helped you to practice success?
My biggest supporter is definitely my husband. He's my best friend and he's my cheerleader and he's my proper upper. When I get tired or exhausted from working the long hours that all entrepreneurs work, he's just there to encourage me. And, if I feel too much self-criticism or I take constructive criticism of a client or an employee or something, he's able to give me really good perspective.
That is so important. And I appreciate you sharing that because I do feel that having a supportive partner it has to be that way or you can't be successful, not only in business, but in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how do you measure success? Obviously, the goal of business is to profit, but beyond that, how do you measure success in your business?
I guess I measure success differently from an awful lot of other people. I mean, I mentioned my church. They're also a huge support system as well. But I think looking at it from the eye of my faith, success to me is, how do I put this? Living in alignment with my belief system so that there's as little cognitive dissonance as possible. So having integrity in what I do and serving my clients well and to the best of my ability. And what I do is service based, so I really think that what I do helps people. So I have to be very careful because, as you know, especially people with special dietary needs, if you give them the wrong ingredient, you might be responsible for making them sick. And that's kind of a big weight to carry. And so we've got to be super careful in customer service because it's a little more important than maybe, giving someone the right purse.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Yes. No, it's a little, think that you would have higher stress than what I would have because I clean. So obviously I'm making sure I do a good job and customer satisfaction, of course, but like that's a whole nother level of stress. That's probably why I don't take care of my health because I'm all like, this is a lot more than I could even imagine putting my mind around. I'm just like, whatever's feasible, let's eat it. And then that's where the problem comes in. It's the ADHD.
yeah.
Whatever's available, I want to eat it. And then I go, oh, I'm never going to eat that again. Oh, look, it's a cookie. It's bad. I'm terrible. So let's talk about your future self, like your goals. What does your next 5-year goal look like? And you're not only for your business, but for yourself.
So I am looking for other people to work for me in people's homes because with a business with a structure like mine, you can't take on more than a handful of clients because there aren't enough hours in the day and there isn't enough physical time and energy to do it. So I would like to help more people by hiring people like myself to go in and take care of other people's needs.
That's a great goal, is to always to personally had that goal when I first started. However, as I tried to grow, again, a different business, I wasn't able to achieve that success. So I've kind of feel like I've been beyond burnout. I'm in ash out at this point and something's got to give, right? So I got to figure out what that structure looks like for me. So let's talk about your main marketing strategy. What is your main marketing strategy when it comes to your business? Are you networking? Are you placing ads? How are you getting people to come in?
So I've tried a lot of things. I tried, Facebook ads. Instagram. I did a lot of networking the first couple of years that I was in business, but I have ADHD and I'm an introvert, and my job is very, very long hours and stressful. So I had to cut out a lot of the networking because it sucked too much energy out of me. I love all the people, I miss some of those connections, but I really had to draw some boundaries there. And a lot of people don't understand that, but I think it served me well in the end because I kept one networking group, and that has actually helped me a lot, especially this year, because I think the future of marketing is Facebook groups. You have Facebook affinity groups, and you probably know exactly the one because we met in one.
Yes.
that's where that's where the future of marketing is. It's social media with social proof. When like Chapel Hill Carborough Foodies group, I get so much business from that because people go in there and ask, I need a personal chef for an event, or I'm looking for somebody, to cook meals for me and my family weekly. And I get so many people going in and saying, hey, I've used the Traveling Cafe. Why don't you check them out? And that has become my biggest marketing strategy. I get more business out of there than almost anybody else. So really, it really still is word of mouth, but it's on the social media platforms.
Which is exactly how I've grown my business too. I've never paid for advertising because I don't see the point in it because A, I'm not big enough for that. Okay, I'm not like McDonald's, right? But B, I would rather have a word of mouth referral than any other type of referral. Because I know that
Yeah.
somebody knows me, they've used me, they vouch for me. I think that's so much more powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
And that's a really big part of like how we've become a society too, is like I'd rather hear from someone else's experience than to just be like, oh, look, a pretty shiny ad, which is
Yeah.
great because we're actually sharing stories and telling people the truth. And I love that. So what advice was most impactful to help you make the leap into entrepreneurship?
This is a hard one because I wouldn't say I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I've definitely done it twice now. And the first time was probably different than the second time. I tend to be, I'm not risk averse. I will take huge leaps. I don't know how much wisdom is in that sometimes, but the second time, maybe not starting so much as staying, because I think we all go through these seasons where we're like, oh, this is too much. I'm just gonna let it go. And, really pushing through 2020, I found a business coach, and I can't think of, a phrase that she gave me, or you used the word pivot earlier. I think it was along those lines. She's she pretty much encouraged me, just keep doing it. What else are you going to do? Are you going to go to work for someone else? And of course not. I'm
No.
just
And
not.
I'm with you on that. I mean, some days I'm all like, I quit and I'd be easier to work for someone else. But then I remember that they have total control of my life and I'm not interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I love that you talked about a business coach because now that I've been doing this podcast a little bit, I'm finding out that, even Michael Jordan had a coach, right? And so
Oh, yeah.
business coaches are like a big thing. Get a business coach, help you through it. I mean, because we all need a cheerleader to be frank.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's
definitely. 'Cause at that time especially, I don't think anybody in the world that's alive had been through that kind of squeeze when it came to small businesses. So finding someone, and she has a group of people, that she coaches, and finding someone to sort of push, not necessarily, control or micromanage, but just push you along is very helpful, whether that's somebody that's paid or someone that's just, a trusted advisor in your personal life to actually keep pushing you. Like I said, my husband does now. He's like my pusher upper. He helps me stay upright, or he kind of lifts me up. I think everybody needs that in their lives, not just entrepreneurs.
no, absolutely. Definitely was talking about this with another podcast guest about how I think that everyone should have a life coach in their life, like for everything and not just for business, because it's just so hard out there these days, especially to
Yeah.
stay positive, you know?
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give somebody who's wanting to take the leap? I always tell people to just do it and do it stupid because you'll figure it out along the way.
You sound like my business coach. I think I saw something lately. My advice would be at the beginning, move ahead without letting go of what's behind. So
It's
test the
good.
waters. Test the waters before you totally leap. Yeah, because I don't want anybody. I would be worried more about people regretting not doing something than trying.
No,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Because that's why you mentioned risk taking, and I think about this too. People with ADHD, we are more apt to take a risk and not really think about, I don't want to say the word consequences, because consequence could be good or bad, but the things that could happen negatively and impact it. They're just like, you know what, that's fine. Leap of faith. Let's go. Let's do it. And yeah, sometimes you don't, get through, and it becomes I don't want to say failure, but failure is the door to success. So it does kind
Yeah.
of launch you into a new direction. So I think that that's great that you're willing to take risk and tell people, hey, take a risk. I
Yeah.
mean, what do you really have to lose if you think about it,
I think that that's key. Not being afraid to fail and just being willing to learn from failure and not view yourself as a failure. What did they say, Thomas Edison? How many times did he try before he actually succeeded in inventing anything? I mean, that's perseverance, and that is hard to do in the face of today's culture. But I think it's necessary to have success as a business owner or not. Just keep going, learn from that failure, just keep walking, expect it,
No,
because nobody gets it right on their first try.
no.
No, nobody I know anyway.
No, you're absolutely correct in that. And that was actually something that, this isn't my first cleaning company. And when I was 18, I started doing it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I jumped into it and it didn't pan out well for me. I mean, I think it lasted maybe a year. And then I was like, okay, is this a failure or was this a learning curve? Because there's no way I would have ever had this knowledge had I not done
Mhm.
what I did. So when I
Yeah.
restarted back in 2020, I was like, cool, here's the business model that I feel is going to be more successful than the previous one. And almost 5 years later, and look at that, I'm still in business. I'm still doing great.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to use the failure as a teaching tool instead of looking at it like it's a reflection of your self-worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So do you want to take us through the process in which you use to be able to help your clients?
I would love to do that with you. So the first thing that I do, I mean, obviously, as with any purchase, people have questions about pricing and the structure and how it's done in their home and all that kind of stuff. And actually like doing a meal plan for somebody, the first thing I do is send a client questionnaire. So it's like a food questionnaire that helps you list your dietary needs and your preferences. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions and note
Perfect.
them
I'm
down.
excited to share.
Okay, cool. So let's see. Don't need all this. Your street address. I know how you found me. So how many people in your household?
3.
Okay. And let's just do like 3 supper meals. So I'm going to plan 3 meals for you after we're done with this.
Okay.
3 meals for 3 people. Okay. Do you know in the household your food allergies? Actual allergies.
So gluten makes me sick. I also can't eat nightshades,
Okay.
but other than that, there's no allergies.
Okay. Is there any particular diet that you follow, like paleo, keto, vegan, vegetarian, autoimmune protocol, low FODMAP?
The autoimmune.
AI. So do you do the whole autoimmune protocol? That's
It
like
depends.
no peppers, no black pepper.
Yeah, no peppers, no tomatoes, no potatoes. All the nightshades I can't eat, so I don't. And then
Is it just white potatoes, or can you do sweet potatoes?
I can do sweet potatoes. Those don't bother me because they don't have the whatever it is in it.
Okay. Can you do other tubers like cassava or yucca?
I've never actually had them.
Okay, you could if you tolerate sweet potatoes, you could probably tolerate cassava. And I have to say, right now, I have had some training for this. I actually took the natural chef certification at Central Carolina, and so this is just automatic knowledge that I have from that kind of training, and just from helping a lot of clients over the years. So when you say AIP, I know almost exactly what you mean. I'm assuming dairy. Can you do dairy? Is that too inflammatory?
That's a really great question. I'm glad that you asked that. I am not supposed to do dairy, but I do cheat.
So that's some of your comfort food.
Yeah, I love cheese. That's my problem. I realized that the other day when I kept eating cheese all day, and I was like, oh, probably shouldn't be doing this.
Okay. Can you tolerate nuts?
Yes.
Okay. And how about like if you're trying to get away from dairy because of the inflammation, can you do coconut milk?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can you eat all meat, or is there any particular meat you don't enjoy?
So I'm only allowed to eat chicken and turkey and fish.
Okay. How about soy products?
I try to stay away from them just because they don't make me feel the best.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Shellfish?
I'm okay with that.
All right. Let's see. Can you do cruciferous? Can you do cauliflower, broccoli?
Yes.
Okay, you said gluten. How about other grains? Like, can you do rice?
So I can eat rice, which is mostly what I do, and corn, like, meal products and stuff to substitute it out instead of eating like flour and wheat.
Okay, does corn give you inflammation?
Not that I'm aware of. I've been eating corn chips and stuff and I feel okay.
Okay. Can you do things like quinoa, farro?
Yes.
All right. Do you like gluten-free pastas?
I do actually.
Okay. Let's see. Almost done. Have you ever had shirataki noodles or anything with shirataki?
No.
So, sorry for that notification. So, shirataki is actually a tuber. It's a giant tuber that is mostly made of water, but it's actually 100% fiber. So, for diets like ours, where you're gluten free, so you're not getting a lot of wheat, cereals, stuff like that, it's a huge fiber thing. But it also helps in that you can use it for rice or noodles if you can't do either of those. You need to eat it in small doses because it's 100% fiber.
No, that's
So,
good. My doctor wants me to eat more fiber, so
okay, so I'm almost done. Let's see. You said you could do nuts. All right, I think you could technically eat all of these, but I'm going to ask you if you like them. They're like condiments that add flavor. So can you do citrus?
yes.
Okay. Olives?
Yes.
Do you like them?
I do, black olives specifically.
Okay. Capers?
Those are good.
All right. I know you can't have tomatoes, but do you like ketchup and barbecue sauce?
I do,
And tomato
unfortunately.
sauce. Okay. You like tomato sauce as well?
Yes.
All right. Mayonnaise,
Not a fan.
mustard,
I love mustard.
hot sauce,
Don't like it.
fresh herbs, parsley, dill, cilantro.
Love them.
You love cilantro?
Yes. I know a
Okay,
lot of
that's a
people say
huge.
it tastes like soap, but I love it.
That's a genetic thing as well. That's an absolute real thing. So half of my clients hate cilantro, half of them love it. Fresh mint, fresh basil.
Yes.
Okay. So you can do nuts. Are you, another huge allergen is sesame. Can you do sesame?
I can. I did not know that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I am through the actual food questions. Let's see. There's some more preference. Now, because the traveling cafe, part of it is we travel to people's homes. The other part is I love to travel. I've been a lot of places. And even if I haven't been there, I've studied it because I'm just fascinated by culture and the way it expresses itself through food. So I do both things. I make sure the food is according to somebody's needs and preferences, but I also try to work in as much international as possible to either introduce people to those cultures or just help them experience it. So I'm going to list some cultural foods and you tell me if you don't like some of them.
Okay.
Italian.
I like Italian food. Love it.
Okay. German.
I don't really feel like I've had much German food. I'm going to be honest.
Okay. French.
Yes.
Okay. Chinese.
Absolutely.
All right. Mexican.
Love it.
Indian.
Not a fan of because
Not
of
a fan. Okay.
texture. I have a texture thing.
Tell me a little more about that.
So like if this is going to sound weird, but like if foods are too wet or sloppy, like I'm not into it. I have to have like it has to be solid but not dry. And I'm okay with soup, but I usually just pick out the food in the soup and then don't drink the broth.
So would you like, say, a meat, a veg, a starch with a sauce over it
Yes.
or alongside it? And you don't want like curries
No.
that are super saucy. Gotcha. I need to add that to my food questionnaire. That's really, really good. All right. Thai.
Yes. They have the
Okay.
delicious peanut sauce. Oh,
All right. And let's see, anything else? Have you ever had like Filipino?
no.
That's some curries. You probably wouldn't like that. Greek or Mediterranean?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. All right, last two questions. No, there's three. Okay. What is your heat preference? Mild,
Yes,
medium,
mild.
mild.
My
Okay.
daughter makes
And
fun of me all the time because she's like, "You can't handle the spice," and I'm like, "I really can't."
lightweight. But also with the AIP, all that capsicum, that's all pepper based. So you shouldn't have it anyway. Your body might be telling you that.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, it causes inflammation for a lot of conditions. Okay, and your salt preference. None, medium, or huge.
I'd prefer none
Okay.
just because I don't
That's
want
your
to.
preference?
Yeah, I don't really like salt.
Wow. You're the first person I've ever heard say that.
Oh. I like more sweet things, and someone once told me that if the chef makes the food too salty, they're probably an alcoholic, and if they make it too sweet, they probably smoke weed. And I was like,
Oh my
that's interesting.
wow. There might be some truth to that. Okay, so along with the AIP, is there any sweeteners you would prefer not having?
Any kind of like artificial sweetener, I'm not a fan of. Like sugar, I'm okay with. Coconut sugar, I love. That's what I use at home. I just don't like stevia or like Splenda.
Gotcha. Okay. So, seeing all of your preferences and your dietary needs, and also incorporating global cuisines. You said you really like Italian. So I'm going to do one Italian meal. You said you like Thai. So Thai is really good for your particular needs. And thirdly, you've never had German, so I'm going to try to do German for you. Okay, so you can do chicken, turkey, and fish.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to eat
All right,
lamb or beef.
got it. So with the Italian, knowing you can't have tomatoes or peppers or beef, I'm still going to make a lasagna for you.
Oh,
And
so
here's
good.
how I'm going to do that. I'm going to layer different vegetables. I'm going to cut them really thin, long ways. And then I'm going to make you a fake tomato sauce that's based in a homemade vegetable broth with celery, carrots, and you can do onion, right? Onion,
Yes.
garlic. Okay. So those three together, and you will, even if you hate beets, you will never know there's beets in this, but it also includes beets.
They're really
And
good.
usually it has some kind of animal fat in it to give it the umami. And we could do turkey bacon in it or chicken fat, one or the other. So by cooking that down for a long time, you end up with a delicious sauce that really mimics tomato sauce. And we can either put cheese in there for you or not even have the cheese. And we could do a yeast product that mimics the taste of Parmesan. So you can still have lasagna, good Italian lasagna, layers with vegetables and ground turkey, and just lots of flavor and seasoning from that delicious sauce. So that's one of your meals. And with Thai, again, we could do a soup for you and noodles, but we could use the shirataki noodles, which are full of fiber, and the broth will be coconut milk based with a little sweetness. You have sour and sweetness and just the tiniest bit of heat from ginger,
Ooh,
which
really
is
good.
very healing to the body. Anyway, so we're going to do like a Thai soup. And this one we could do with fish. So we could do a nice cod or maybe cod and shrimp together in it.
I'm going to be honest with you. I am not a fan of cod.
Oh, so what else would you like instead?
So my favorites, like I like tilapia, I like salmon, but and tuna steak obviously is really good. But I don't know what it is about cod. I think it's just like dry for me, or maybe I didn't prepare it right. Let me just rephrase that.
We could totally do tilapia. Or, if you didn't want like a Thai soup with noodles, we could do seafood cakes with sauce on the side.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And that you just combine them together with something gluten-free as a binder. And you could just fry them in coconut oil. And those would be amazing. Still Thai. We'd spice them like Thai. So you have one Italian meal, one Thai meal, and now I'm going to try a German meal. If you've never had German meal, that usually includes some kind of sausage, some kind of cabbage, and probably a potato. So since you can't do white potatoes, I would substitute something like cassava or yucca, which are still whitish. And we'd put some kind of fat in there and some seasonings, like maybe roasted garlic or something very flavorful, so that it would, or we could even do, a lot of people do, you just buzz up cauliflower in, a blender, and you could make a nice potato-like product out of that. But I think you should try going totally new German. We could do cassava or yucca or a combination of root vegetables that you're able to eat. So you have that comfort food of mashed potatoes without the potato. And then do you eat cabbage? Do you like cabbage?
I do actually. I love cabbage.
Okay, so we do a nice cabbage and onions, maybe with some caraway seed. That is caraway seed and savory are very German spices. And then we're going to do a really nice chicken sausage with you like mustard, we could do a mustard or mustard and cream sauce on the side. So there you have 3 meals from 3 different parts of the world with maybe stuff you can't have normally because it has ingredients that you can't tolerate. But I just designed you 3 supper meals for the week for your family that you can eat and enjoy and not feel bad about. And your family could probably enjoy and not even notice the difference, except for the lasagna. They would notice there was no cheese.
They'd be like, "Where is the cheese?" I know my 2 of my children are half Italian, and the last one is she is not. And my son, even though he's half Italian, he hates cheese. Loves
Wow.
lasagna, does not like cheese. I know. Even when he was a kid, it was funny because we had gotten pizza one time and I lied to him and I was like, oh, that's not cheese. That's just like food glue to keep it together. And he ate it and he's like, this is disgusting. And I was like, damn it.
Wow.
But he still to this day, he's 19 years old, will not eat cheese, does not like it, will not eat Mexican food with cheese in it. He's just hard pass.
Wow.
So that might be a really good alternative for us because we're not necessarily, I'm the cheese person, they're not. And my
Have
little
you tried
ones,
nutritional yeast?
I'm sorry.
Have you tried nutritional yeast?
No, I would. Could you tell me more about that? Because when you mentioned it, I thought, oh, that sounds interesting.
It's vegetable based, but it's yeast that literally they pull out of vegetables, and it's dried flakes. So you can add that to anything to give it a little cheesy flavor because it's got a very similar taste to Parmesan. You can add that to a sauce or you can sprinkle it lightly on top of a food product and you'd have a little extra oomph that you wouldn't otherwise. Bob's Red Mill sells it in probably like an 8-ounce bag for maybe $5 and it'll last quite a while because you're just using it as a garnish pretty much usually.
Yeah, don't like throw in the whole packet.
No, that'd be gross.
I need instructions because like I said, I love cheese. I'll just be like, oh, have a pack. We're good.
No, it's not like cheddar or actual Parmesan. You would want just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And so so I really appreciate that. And I am really excited about learning how to make this and making it happen for me because one of the things that I don't do is cook very well. I never really learn. So is that something that you also help your people with or do you just prepare the meals for them and move on?
Well, normally I do all the prepared meal myself, but this is something I can start to do. I think you're the first person that ever asked me. So I'm going to do this for you and I'm going to email it to you with recipes and you just have to let me know how it goes.
Perfect. Because I did not grow up learning how to cook very well. My mother was a horrible chef. I looked forward to eating school food and that was equivalent to prison food. So terrible. So I didn't really learn. And then I had kids of my own, right? And so I just did like the fast food thing for so long because I didn't really know what I was doing. And then more recently, I've learned how to cook very little. I can make a couple of breakfast foods and maybe a couple of dinners.
But we also do cooking classes. That's something we do those in people's homes. So
that's amazing.
Because a lot of people that we cook for don't have any desire to cook, so they don't need to know. But then you've got foodies that just, want to see people make stuff. And then you have people like yourself who really just have never had the time or the ability to cook for themselves. So we do cooking classes for people like that.
That's so wonderful. So just making sure I got all the bases covered. You do cooking classes, you do prepare, you do events.
Yep.
Like catered events.
Dinner parties. Dinner parties in people's homes. Yep.
That's amazing. That is so much. I love it. I'm so excited that we connected and that I was able to have you come on the podcast because I've learned so much today.
That's awesome. I'm glad.
So can we switch gears a little bit and talk about your background? I see there's musical instruments back there, and we talked a little bit before we started recording. Can you tell me about the music in your life?
So music is a little bit like the cooking. I've stayed away from it for a long time just because it takes a lot of practice. And these instruments are actually my husband's. He plays guitar, bass, and he's actually a sound man. He's an audio video designer. He works for Audio Advice in Raleigh. And he's been doing that for like 30 years in different places. But he has mixed sound for local bands and the church that we're involved in for years. And I also sing. So I'm also on the worship team. And when I was younger, I played the drums and I was a band geek and marching band and concert band. And I'm now like playing the shaker on the stage. So I might get back into drums eventually. We'll see. It just, it takes a lot, but it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding.
I just wanted to highlight your many talents because being a neurodivergent myself, I cannot play music to save my life, but I have other talents like crafting and creating art. So I just always like to put that out there so people know that, hey, I do this, but I also do all of this. So tell everybody where they can find you.
So I have a website. It's thetravelingcafe.com with 2 L's. People lose track of me all the time because I spell traveling the European way with 2 L's. So thetravelingcafe.com.
I love it. And you're based out of Chapel Hill. What is your service area?
The Triangle and beyond. I have a client in Greensboro. I have a client in Wake Forest. We have clients in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Pittsburgh. We'll call the Traveling Cafe. We will travel.
I always like to ask because you never know. I mean, you could be just downtown Raleigh. I don't know. I did forget to ask one important question, and I would like to leave this with everybody, which is what are some of the common challenges that entrepreneurs face and how can you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge for me and others is burnout. I think it's hard to regulate self-care, period, in the world. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're working 78 or 80 hours a week, self-care becomes something you don't even consider. So I think it's hard not to burn out. And advice to overcome that, I feel hypocritical giving advice for that, but it is so important to stop occasionally. Like literally yesterday was probably my first day off in 2 months, but thank the Lord I took it. And
No, that's
didn't
fabulous.
do anything work related for all day. And just having that ability to take one day off from the time you wake up in the morning till the time you lay your head back down on the pillow, to me, that's a huge accomplishment. Just being able to literally, have that Sabbath rest. Rest is huge for the entrepreneur. You have to be able to shut your mind off. And because if you stay in your business, you'll kill it. You'll absolutely kill it because from personal experience, the quality of what you're able to give your clients goes down because you don't have anywhere left to pull from yourself. So what do they say when you're on a plane?
Put on your option. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do it first for yourself. So it's, again, it feels a little hypocritical, but I know it's absolutely true and was majorly reminded of it again yesterday.
Absolutely. Maybe that's something that I forgot because I've been feeling completely burned to ash out at this point, and
Yeah.
I don't take time off, but I also don't really plan it because that is the key. You have to schedule it, and I missed that step.
You have to schedule it and you have to keep that promise to yourself. You have to follow through with it. We should be our first clients. I should eat well and your house should be clean. Maybe even not by you.
I agree because I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not do it. I clean everyone else's house. I come home and I'm like, it's fine. I mean, it's not disgusting, but it's not to the standard I prefer it.
You asked me about a 5-year plan. It would be amazing if both of us, 5 years from now, you're paying somebody to clean your house and I'm paying someone to be my own personal chef.
Yes. Well, we're going to do a round of check back in. So we're going to check in with you in another year or two. So we're going to see where you're at on that journey.
I look forward to it.
Well, thank you so much for coming out today and sharing your story and the recipes. And I really hope that a lot of people reach out to you because cooking sucks, in my opinion, and you seem to do a great, amazing job. So if cooking sucks for you guys, make sure you give the traveling chef a call. And thank you for joining us for another amazing episode of Down Home Dirt. We'll see you next week.